What's going on, everybody? It's Quinn from Teams of Sharks. I'm going to be bringing you my new Nubatama deck profile today, as well as all our deck profiles. We got a spectator, and now it's going to be Dan from Teams of Sharks.
I'm actually the cameraman.
The cameraman. The spectator is Derek, right there.
Derek, do not plug your channel again.
Hey, what's up? It's D-Rec here from Alliance with Gaming Outlet.
Alright, that's enough intro. Let's get right into the deck profile. For the starter, I'm going to be running this new one from set 14. And it's like the old one pretty much, but it doesn't give the power. It calls a card from the drop zone though, which I think is kind of useful. So I'm testing this one right now. Both of them are really strong for the deck. I would go with either one, whatever suits your fancy.
That one's been doing pretty well for you.
Yeah, it came in clutch a couple times. For my grade 3s, the main one you want to run is Zonky that just came out. This card's fucking nuts.
Is that the one where if you ride or stride, you get to dominate one and swing with it?
So it's good because you get more dominates, but like you get it on ride and on stride. So
you can do it twice.
If you ride and stride on the same turn, you do it twice, and that's already minusing 2 cards from your opponent's hand if it's strong enough. If it's strong enough for them to guard against. And the second skill just wastes another card out of your opponent's hand because they just straight up have to call another one.
It's just a crazy powerful card. I hate playing against this deck. Let me just preface this.
I run a backup Shiranui as well, just the older one. I've never actually gone into it yet, but I know I want to run at least. I want to ride one of these two to keep the deck going.
So you're only playing the 5 grade 3s?
No, I'm playing this one as well.
Oh, okay.
I'm taking one of this guy in. I would either just play one because I think he's fun, or you could go 2 of this, or you can play 5 grade 3s if you want to. It doesn't matter too much.
Interesting.
More or less grade 3s. In my personal opinion, in Vanguard, it doesn't matter too much.
Right. I think the strides are honestly the star of this deck.
Yeah, they really are, dude. This card's cool just because it hits for 21, and you want to hit with big numbers. It's all about hitting magic numbers. But I haven't been able to go into that one yet. The deck just came out, not too much playtesting. One of the 4 ofs that I run in the deck that aren't a grade 3 is this amazing grade 2. This gets to retire a dominated unit that attacks and draws you a card. So it's a free draw pretty much. You counterblast 1. And it can get you more rear guards to call later after your opponent's units are dominated because it's still before you attack. It's during the main phase. And it gets +2 when it attacks if you have Shiranui, so it's an 11k.
Nice.
I think most people I've seen have been running it at 4. Another card that I want to run at 4, but there's so many good cards in this deck, which is why you'll see a lot of 3 ofs and 2 ofs, is this bear right here. This bear's pretty cool because it also hits for big numbers and gets another card to your hand. It's pretty much what all the main deck does. So it gets a +10, so it's at 19 by itself, and when you call it, you bind a card, you get the bound card later when a dominated unit attacks. However, the deck is a little counterblast heavy, these 2 being the main sources of counterblasting along with the stride. Then I'm going to be running 3 of this card because I really like the fact that it can make your opponent's Vanguard 11k again after they get a trigger, because if you call this after a dominated unit attacks, you make 3 things 11k, and it's another way to recycle things from its first skill too.
Nice.
So just 3 of that. You can bump it down to 2. Some people don't even run it at all, but I love this card.
From what I've seen, it's pretty good.
This I'm just trying out. The new cards gain so much power. There was the old card, forgot the name, that got +2 every time something attacked. This gets +5 for This gets +5 whenever a dominated unit attacks, which is on average 3 times.
Was the other card also the double rare that you were showing me?
Yeah, it calls something from the drop zone as well.
I would try, I don't know, I really like that one just because it calls something from the drop zone.
It's either that or this from my 2 cards. I'm testing these out. I think it's awesome because it swings for huge numbers.
That's
and
cool. I guess the other one is cool just because you get that extra unit from the drop zone.
Yeah, but late game it doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, that's true.
Moving on to the grade 1s, it's all the grade 2s. We got 4 stride fodders because you got to stride. It's pretty much all it is. And if you get the wrong grade 3, you want to get into the right grade 3. Everyone's reasoning.
Now, Quinn, tell us why you have to stride in this deck.
All right, so to stride in this deck, right?
Right.
You got to get into your boss monster. Sneak peek right there. You can probably see it anyways. It's pretty good. All right.
It's
good.
Good. Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Perfect guards. Now you're going to be seeing that I am kind of broke.
Well, it's not that you're broke, it's just that the price of the perfect guards is outrageous.
Well, okay, so I'm running this. It doesn't do anything. It's just a perfect guard. There's 2 options. There's the generic unflip one, which is kind of pricey. There's one that's cheaper, but I think getting pricey right now, which recycles itself. Now, I've been talking with my boy Dan right here.
Oh, hey.
And just you don't need the one that recycles itself because you're going to kill your opponent before you even need to guard with it.
Here's my thought process. You can be fine with just those just because as long as you have the stride this guy, you're going to be winning regardless.
Peek.
It's just so good, guys. I don't know if you've had a chance to play against this deck yet, but it's just so busted.
If you've been hearing what everyone's saying that you can win on first ride with this deck, I didn't believe it, but it's true.
I didn't believe it either. It is true. I played against it many times.
But you can play the unflip one, which I'm liking a little more now. My favorite grade 1 in the deck, Mist Frog, might actually bump it up to 4. If your opponent tries to counter, sneak peek this card, then you use this card. If they counter it by calling triggers, which won't hit the Vanguard, you give it a +6 and it hits anyways.
You push it to the soul, right?
You push this to the soul, so you gain a soul. The deck uses a lot of soul, but everything goes to the soul, so you replenish it so much. This also draws you a card, so you're cycling through the deck as well. Yeah,
it's very good.
I love that card so much. My only problem is that it's a 6K, but then I realized that you're not actually attacking with it. It's just going straight to the soul.
Right. Ideally, you don't want that to boost. You'd rather use defects.
The last two are kind of my techs. You tech 2 of this. It's the same thing that the grade 2 does. It gets +5K every time a dominated unit swings. I'm just trying them out to hit really big numbers. I haven't had a turn where I can get them to really big numbers yet because I've been using like my other grade 2s and my other grade 1s to kill them faster. So, I don't know.
Sounds pretty good strategy.
Like, ideally, also you have to have these out before everything dominated attacks, so you miss like the on-stride timing if it's not out or the on-ride timing, but it doesn't matter too much.
It doesn't matter because your opponent's hand is going to be depleted just
your opponent's hand. Like I was
playing
against Luard earlier today, and they had a 14-card hand, right? And I didn't go into the GR because I'm dumb. That brings down to 4, but I brought him down to 7 using the stride, and almost killed him just off that. So that was cool. Every list I've seen runs this though, so I would try it out. Other tech kind of is this card. Basically, when a dominated unit attacks, which will be every turn, at the end of the turn you shove them into the soul and unflip a damage, which you need in this deck. More counter charging is more winning, pretty much, because you counter blast a lot in this deck. My boy Mark, sitting at the table over there.
Hi Mark.
He runs 4. I think it's either good at 2 or 3. He likes it at 4 though. Going on to the triggers, we have the 4 heal triggers. There's no explanation for this either. It's kind of just like the explanation for a stride fodder or a perfect guard. You gotta run it because almost every clan, sorry, not all of them, have a thing like this that either counter charges or soul charges for you. Then we're running 4 draws because it's kind of a combo-y deck and you want to get into your rear guards. And that's the reason. Yeah.
Now I noticed one of those is shiny. How come the rest aren't?
Alright, so I got all of the old stuff that isn't GBT14 off of my friend who pretty much only had 1 trial deck, so I have only 1 shiny one. Also, it's the same reason why I'm only running 1 of the old Shiranui because I only have 1 shiny one.
Now, has running only 1 shiny one impacted your games at all?
It honestly hasn't because the only one I've drove check is a shiny one.
Okay, perfect.
I'm not even kidding.
Cool.
We're running 8 crits. The 4 of the one that you shove it to soul, unflip a damage because that's really good. 4 of this, generic crit, but you want to run the one that's shoved to soul. The shoved to soul crit that you draw 1, give +5 that every deck has as well. That's just really expensive and I don't have it. Either way, the deck runs perfectly fine. I will move on to the strides now.
Oh man.
This is a star of the deck.
It really is.
This is what kills people on first stride. Or second stride. Second stride is stupid deadly.
Basically guaranteed.
Just by putting this card on the Vanguard circle, right? You get 2 cards out of your opponent's hands. Then they have to guard those attacks. It's 2 more cards out of your opponent's
against their
hands.
own attacks.
And they get +5. The GB3 is even good, so you go into this a second time. If you somehow didn't get your opponent to 5 damage the turn earlier, and they're at 4 damage, you can threaten them with this, get an extra crit on many, many attacks.
This is also one of the reasons Bushiroad had to reboot their game.
So good. Yeah. Love it. This is what you go into after you're done with your Renes. Mugen Lord, gets you a fuck ton of attacks. That's all it's really good for. Another reason why I run the guys that get +5k every time, because if your opponent calls a full field, which they sometimes do, you get 5 attacks, and you give +5 times 5 to your grade 2s or grade 1s when you have them. I'm stupid and didn't read this card the right way. You can give the +4s to your own units too. So if your opponent doesn't have enough units to dominate, you can get more beefy columns too. Then I run 2 Magen Tenbu. It's for when your opponent isn't at 5, like if they're at 3, you don't really want to go into this because if they get one trigger, you're kind of screwed.
Right.
But after you go into both your Rines, the unit that you dominate with this gets +3 for each face-up card in your G zone, something like that. And so it's just a bigger number that they have to guard for, and yeah, that's why. Then I run one of this GR. I haven't gone into it, and I haven't seen my friend Mark go into it either.
That's just a good option.
It's good. You still want it because it wipes out your opponent's board.
Right.
I feel like this is you want to go into this when you're really down.
All right, look,
when you're really behind.
Realistically, you're never going to get to a situation where you have to go into that, just because ideally you're going to win first or second
That's how
stride.
I feel too, really.
But at that point, you can just make the argument why run the rest of the G zone aside from those couple cards that you're going to be using.
Yeah, pretty much.
So have it just to have it.
But if you don't have it, it's fine.
Yeah.
That works. You just need that new stride, which is I think pretty cheap now. I got mine for $8.
Oh, everything in set 14 for the most part is cheap.
We got this guy, the GR. Not a GR anymore. He's a reprint. Fuck off. He's good. He puts your opponent down to 4 cards in hand, no matter how many they had. So you really want to go into him when your opponent's at 5 damage, because you're gonna push them there. And if your opponent is running a deck that gets a ton of cards in their hand, it's a decent option to have. This is actually a decent option.
This
to have.
deck is so disgusting.
Unlike this is optional. This is kind of good. Then we run 5 G guards. One of this one that flips up another one. Your opponent discards 1 or 2. Your opponent has to discard a card, and if they don't, it gets plus 20k shield. So it's another way to either... It's just messes with your opponent. You don't really use it that much. The other ones are better anyways, but I like the artwork.
You have that playmat with her when we went to Tokyo, right?
I have the playmat with the heal trigger that goes with her.
Ah, the heal trigger, that's right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I should have brought it for the video. 2 of this new G-Guard. It's the only one that gains power consistently. If your opponent has 3 or more cards in hand, it gets plus 5. If they have 6 or more, it gets plus 10. Most of the time, it's going to get the plus 10, so it's good to guard with. I run 2 because you're mostly going to go into 2. I also run 2 of this for 1, you need 1. 2, situational if you want to go into the second one. This lets you guard with a card from your opponent's back row, which is just more disruption and can mess up some of their plays. Or like I was playing against ZTB, you get one of their transit dragons, and it's just negging another card from their hand at that point too. It's a little heavy cost though, but with most of your cards you get all your resources back. Now you might have noticed I only have 15 cards in my G zone. That's because I don't have a Zeroth dragon. Kind of annoying, but I would run that. That's the deck profile, everyone.
All right, Quinn, nice deck profile.
Yeah, I hope you liked the video, and subscribe if you haven't already.
If you guys haven't already checked out the ZTB deck profile, post GB14, please go ahead and check that out, and hopefully we'll have some more videos for you guys.
All right, see you later.